Hello everyone and welcome back to the Tank Club. Today we're going to be looking at some tank skill information about the Mage's Guild skill Equilibrium and the morphs Balance and Spell Symmetry. So to get this skill, you are going to need to get Mage's Guild to level 9 at the very least, and this is because you need to get the skill and you need to get the passives to go alongside it to maximise its efficiency. Now this is one of the biggest reasons why people do not like using this skill, is because they have to grind out the Mage's Guild and you have to go and find lore books, and it is a little bit annoying. It's completely worth the investment to get the skill because it's an unlimited source of magicka. If you combine this on certain classes like a Dragon Knight, you can convert that magicka straight back into stamina. So it's an extremely valuable sustain tool for pretty much every single class. Okay, so if we take a little look at the skill, we've got Equilibrium. When you cast this skill while blocking, it won't drop your block. So that's a nice little benefit to using this skill. It won't drop your block while you use it. When you cast it, you sacrifice some health and you get magicka back. Now, if you go with the Balance morph, which is the one I would advise for most situations for most tanks, then you'll gain the longest source of Major Resolve in the game. As long as you've got your Mage's Guild passives, you've got a really long duration of Major Resolve. So it says 26.4 seconds there. That will increase if you've got your Mage's Guild passives in there as well. And it's the longest one in the game. And it gives you nearly 6k's worth of resistances. Now sometimes it's not 100% necessary to use this morph if you are in an organised group with a really good warden support who is capable of maintaining Frost Cloak at 100%, then you don't essentially need balance. You can use the other morph, which is Spell Symmetry. So we've got the other morph, Spell Symmetry. And this is good for classes who already have Major Resolve but need sustain. So a Nightblade, for example, has built-in Major Resolve into their passives, so you do not need balance for that situation. If you're a Warden tank, you might be using Frost Cloak, so you wouldn't need balance. So you might use Spell Symmetry in that situation because it just would be better. You don't need two sources of Major Resolve. So Spell Symmetry reduces the cost of your next magicka ability, which means even better sustain, but you don't get the Major Resolve. So you lose the Major Resolve by using Spell Symmetry, but the cost of your next magicka ability after you use Spell Symmetry is reduced, and you still get the magicka as well. So when is this skill useful? Well, if you struggle for magicka sustain, then you need to use this. This is the absolute best skill to use for sustain. If you are in an organised team and you're trying to push higher skill up times, then this will help you cast skills more frequently. It's also great in between fights to regain your magicka back as you make your way to the next fight. So when you kill an Adpul, if you've used all your magicka chaining enemies and taunting and healing and debuffing, and then you've got no magicka left, as you're progressing your way to the next fight, or as you're making your way to the boss fight, you cast Balance a couple of times, you build up your health back by the time you get to the enemy, and then you've got your full magicka, full health ready to go. So you use it in those situations. Now some people are put off by the health cost and are a bit afraid that using this will basically cause you to die, and that can sometimes be the case if you use this skill carelessly. So when the skill is max leveled and you have the Mage's Adept passive, balance will cost very little amount. So if we look at this, if we use the Balance morph, 4,629 health with my Imperial passives, quite a low cost really when you think about the situation. So when we look at this patch, the Flames of Ambition patch, even going into next patch, I've still got around the same resources then as well. You losing 4.6k health is not that big of an issue. I've got 43.5k max health. In some gear setups, in some situations, I've actually got closer to 50k health. Sometimes it's 45. It never really goes below 40. Never ever goes below 40 in a heavy armor setup for me. Now that doesn't mean you should cast it whenever you want. You always want to cast Balance leading into a fight, so as you go in, you cast Balance. And if you're using it during a fight, just make sure you use it at a point in combat where you're in a low damage part of the fight. So a boss has done a heavy attack, you've healed back up, you use it. So when a boss is charging up a heavy attack, or like there's a heavy mechanic coming, you can kind of usually see that it's happening. The boss, when it's charging up a fully charged heavy attack, you can see it doing it. So don't use Balance while you're in that situation. Don't use Balance while you stood in an AoE. Don't use Balance while you currently have a damage over time effect applied to you. So don't use it when you've got things that are hurting you. You need to make sure you're in a fairly low damage point of a fight, and then you use it. There's quiet periods, there's quiet points of damage in every single fight, and that's when you use it. If you have a reliable healer in your group, then casting it any time outside of a heavy attack or mechanic will be no problem, and you'll regain the health back almost instantly. Now when you use balance, if you try to heal yourself back to full after casting it, you'll need to be careful because you have a debuff. So if we look at this, when we cast it, we've got a debuff on our screen just there. And that causes us to have less healing and lower damage shields for that little period of time. So what you need to do is, when you're casting this, you need to time it yet again so that you're going to not have to deal with the healing debuff at points where you're going to need to have to self-heal. If you have a healer, then it's not an issue. You don't need to worry about this. If you're in a trial situation where you're close to your group, you've got a healer healing you, that 4.6k health is going to be back literally within a second. If you are in a particularly difficult situation, then what you want to do is cast a damage shield before you use balance, for example. And this will not be diminished afterwards. So if we, for example, if we cast balance after we cast Igneous Shield, we're still going to have our full Igneous Shield. So if we cast our Igneous Shield and then we use balance, the size of our damage shield stays the same. The only time the damage shield gets reduced is if we use balance first and then cast the damage shield, we get a much smaller damage shield. So the way to manage this, especially for a Dragon Knight tank, for example, is to pre-cast your Igneous Shield, use your balance, and then you've got that comfort of a sort of 10k shield to cushion the blow of losing 4k health. On a Templar, you've got Radiant Ward. You've got other things that you can do on other classes as well, so you don't have to worry about it too much. You can use this in this way to protect yourself during those phases where you have that little debuff. Now the 4-second debuff ends a lot faster than it seems. So when you cast it, it's already kind of ticked down a second. Like we cast it, we cast the skill. If we cast the skill here, it's already started to tick down. It's already ticking away as soon as we press it. So it ends a lot faster. It's not a long debuff. It ends very, very quickly, so you don't really need to worry about it too much. It's all about timing, so if you time the cast that it wasn't during a heavy attack, then you won't really need to worry about it. If you have health recovery isn't debuffed by this skill. So if we look at this, we've got 1.3k health recovery. When we use balance, we're not going to lose the health recovery. Health recovery is not classed as healing. It's classed as health. It's a recovery, not a heal. So even when our balance healing debuff is active, we're going to gain that health back. Look how fast we gain that health back. By the time the debuff's gone, we've gained our full health back from our health recovery. So health recovery doesn't get affected by the debuff because it's not a heal. It's not classed as a heal. Even though it's giving you health, it's essentially healing you. It's not. It's recovering health. It's not healing. So it's two different things. So what this means is you're going to get 2 health recovery ticks during the 4 seconds where you've got balance active. Where you've got the debuff active. So when you cast balance, we've got the 4-second debuff, but we get 2 ticks of health recovery. And that pretty much covers us for 3k health or more. So we're at full health, basically, by the time the debuff has ended. Just by our health recovery ticking away. There are some really kind of important ways to use this skill. So for V-Hoff, like Halls of Fabrications on the first boss, that springs to mind as one of the most essential places for balance. When you use Spell Symmetry, and you use it on that fight, you spam purges for your group as a tank. That's what you want to be doing. So you literally go in there, spell symmetry purge as much as you can, and that's going to be an extremely effective way of using this skill. In dungeons, I use balance a lot. I have balance and unrelenting grip and choking talons all on the same bar on a Dragon Knight, for example, and they're all on the same bar. And what I do, I've run into an ad pull. I'll pre-cast balance before I go in. I'll make sure I'm always running into an ad pull with full magicka. I run in a talons. I spam chains on all the ranged enemies. I talons again. I spam chain. I'm literally hitting my skills as much as possible. When I'm almost out of magicka, I'll cast balance, and then I'll carry on chaining and talons in. Now, with my dungeon setup that I'm currently wearing right now, so I've got Yolnahkrin and Drake's Rush. I've got obviously 43k health. I've got 26k stamina. When I'm losing 4.6k health, like, it's not even really noticeable. I've got so much health. Even when I run into an Anpil and every single thing is attacking me, I can afford to lose the health from balance. And I kind of always time my heal so that I only use it when I drop below 30%. In most Adpulls in dungeon content don't hit hard enough that if you're at 30% health, they're going to one-shot you. You've got a bit of time, so you can leave your health to drop down. Once I'm in low health, I cast my Green Dragon Blood, and I maximise my healing benefit by doing that. And I also don't kind of have any problems because I've cast balance much sooner than that, and then my health's dropped down, and then I cast my Green Dragon Blood. So I don't really suffer from any problems with going into dungeon content, spamming chains and talons, using balance while I'm in that ad pull, and then regaining my health back with Dragon Blood. Places like Cloudrest portals, where you are essentially on your own, it's still safe to use balance, but you always use it before you enter. So before you go in the portal, use balance. When you're in the portal, it is safe to recast it in the portal at certain intervals. So you've got to time it. It's all about timing. In the portal, when the Shade of Zamaja goes into the ground to move to the other side of the room, that's when you cast balance. That's when you're taking no damage. If there's orbs visible during that phase, roll dodge. You just, Zamaja goes into the ground, you roll dodge, you cast balance, you avoid the hits, you take no damage. So you use balance then. By the time that 4 seconds is up, you can heal again. The boss has appeared, the boss has started to attack you. You've got your magicka back that you needed, problem solved. And also when you jump up onto the wall as well. So when the room starts filling up and you've got to go onto the wall, just before you press the synergy to jump up, balance. Jump on the wall. You're not going to take any damage while you're on the wall. When you jump off the wall, you're going to have the magicka back and you're not going to have the healing debuff anymore. So it's safe to use it in the portal when you time it. So for me, balance is just a super important skill. It's useful on all classes of tank, even for magicka sustain. If you're struggling for magicka sustain, you've got to get this skill. I understand people hate grinding out the lore books, and especially on console, I completely understand. I do sympathise with console players with how annoying it is to do the Mages Guild, how annoying it is to level up that because you don't have the map add-ons and all that kind of stuff. On PC you do. There's no excuse not to get it. So for tanks, it's a vital skill, and it makes your life so much easier. So I would advise, if you can, try and get it. Try and get it as soon as possible. Get it while you level your tank. There's no point in rushing leveling characters. Level up your Mages Guild, your Sigil or your Fighters Guild. Level up everything. Get your Sky Shards, get your skill points. Level up your tank. There's no rush. Just make sure you've got all your skills leveled and all your skill lines leveled. That's the easiest way to level a tank. It really is. It might take a bit of time, but going through leveling those skill lines as you go in is like my preferred way of doing it. It saves you a lot of time later on. Every class of tank can benefit from Equilibrium. So if you've got any questions or queries about this skill, please let me know in the comments below or on the Tank Club Discord. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.